Simon, just to carry on the theme of the Carabao Cup, the League Cup, 64 League Cup finals, but will we reach 70? Is this competition, Simon, in better health than ever, or is it living on borrowed time? The reason I ask is that it's currently a bargaining chip being used in conversations between the Premier League and the EFL. I know you're turning your nose up to this, really? Over the new deal for football. It's in the conversations, isn't it?
Is it really?
I'm sure it is.
So we're going to trade with you the League Cup for 400 million quid a year. That's not really it. It may be part of a discussion, but it's not really a bargaining chip. The League Cup...
back in 2020, as part of Project Big Picture, the League Cup was due to be abolished. So that was Rick Parry's plan. There's been talk about it.
Project Big Picture became Project Closed Window instantaneously. It never got off the ground, never got anywhere. Right? It wasn't a big picture. It was a tiny little abstract painting in the background. The bottom line is that there is this narrative running through European football that the second cup in the country needs to be removed.
Yeah,
and it's been done in lots of other countries,
as it has been throughout Europe.
Yeah, I would suggest that it doesn't quite have the legacy and history of this cup. This cup was created in the 60s as a fallback cup for major sides that got knocked out of the FA Cup and as an alternate revenue stream. It's become a very meaningful tournament, a far more meaningful tournament in recent years because you've seen the big six clubs taking it very seriously and wanting to win it. It's always been a valuable tournament. It's always been something I've had a great deal of affection for. It should be protected. It should be enshrined. It should be valued. If there's trade-offs that need to be done in order to get certain solutions into other aspects of football, then fine. But if you look at the attendances, you look at the performance, you look at the value of the actual collateral that this cup represents, it will always be second to the FA Cup. It'll always be second to the Premier League, but it's a very valuable cup competition, as I'm sure Martin will attest to.
You agree with that, Martin? You've as a player and a manager, you won it how many times?
As a player, I was in 3 finals and we won it twice, and as a manager, I was in 3 finals and we won it twice.
So like Simon, you've got a huge affection for it.
Of course I do. Yeah, I kind of fear for the future of it because UEFA are really taking over. We have everybody playing in Europe. Only the National League sides, I think, won't be involved in Europe in the next 2 or 3 years. Anybody who avoids relegation seems to be in European football, and that seems to be a big hold. If you're thinking about a competition, and definitely after the FA Cup, I was brought up in the FA Cup. The FA Cup was possibly even more important than whoever won the league in those years. And I don't want to feel as if I'm a Luddite, but if the FA Cup is now... we are talking about a round of the FA Cup being played in midweek, then that's losing its lustre. So if that's losing its lustre, then the League Cup is going to lose its lustre. I have been delighted that it's been contested and won by big clubs in the last number of years, and it has been taken more seriously. And I would hate to lose the competition, but there is an expanding length of group here, or sorry, not group, but an expanding time here where you feel as if it might be done away with. I do fear for it. I'm with Simon. I love the competition. I hope it stays, but I do fear for its future.
You see, they're already chipping away at it, Simon. I mean, getting rid of 2-legged semi-finals is currently being debated. Yeah. So that's a start, isn't it? That's a start. They're chipping away at it. In time, the decision may have to be made. All right, we've loved it, but it's time up.
It depends who you think they are and what this conspiracy theory is about this competition. There is a thought process that 14 teams in the Premier League are not overly worried about what's happening in Europe. There's only 6 teams that are worried about what's happening in Europe because they're the ones that participate in it. If there does need to be some evolution, if it does need to be some sophistication, if there's a scenario, which would you rather have? A tournament that plays a 1-legged semi-final, or no tournament whatsoever because you would like to hold to the traditions of the past, which you have a 2-legged semi-final. Things do need to change. I'm a major advocate for if it isn't broken, don't fix it. And the only people that are complaining about this, if there are anybody complaining about it, are the 6 clubs at the top of the Premier League that worry about their scheduling. And ironically, these are the clubs that are winning the bloody tournament, so it doesn't make a lot of sense. But the point is that
UEFA are expanding their tournaments.
Well, who gives a sod what they do?
Well, it's more games. It impacts the schedule.
But with due respect, there's 86 other teams in English professional football that aren't part of the 6 that are playing in European football. But
you get a lot more money to win those European competitions. You win the League Cup yesterday, you got 100k.
For the 6 clubs at the top. Like, we're not talking about. I'm not interested in the 6 clubs at the top.
100,000 for winning it
Again,
yesterday.
but that's not the point, is it? The point is that might be the prize pot. You've also got the attendances, you've got the revenue you get during the course of the season. In the cup games, you get the revenue split that you get for being in the final itself. So it's a lot more than that. But the point is this: is that there are 14 clubs in the Premier League that have to vote in a scenario where the other 6 want what they want, which is we don't really care about the League Cup. Again, I make the point: if they don't care about the League Cup, they seem to be winning it awful lot, given their participation in it. There may be trade-offs. It may be a scenario where there has to be some facilitation of solutions to some of the scheduling issues. But I mean, Mick Parry's no fool. He knows that the EFL Cup, which is ostensibly what it is now, is a valuable property, and they need all the revenue they can get. So the only way that you're going to find this being slightly diminished in any shape or form is if the Premier League are going to sweep a great big chunk of money off the table. And there's no evidence that they're particularly minded to do that. Because if I'm Rick Parry, I know Rick Parry's asking for 25%. If I'm getting somewhere between 15 and 20% of the TV revenues, at this moment in time, the broadcast revenues in this country are worth $3.5 billion a season. If you add in the broadcast deals for the EFL, I would be wanting 700 million of that. They're currently getting about 250. So do you think the Premier League are going to be sweeping off another 450 million quid anytime soon? So this is a long way from being settled. A lot of conclusions are drawn. A lot of presumptions are made. There is still an immense value in this competition, and I don't see the EFL handing it into the knackers yard anytime soon.
Martin, on another front altogether, I was in between 2 different areas of Wembley. I got to my seat just after kickoff, so I missed it. And I'm talking about the national anthem. And again, it came in for a bit of derision from certain quarters, no doubt. Quite a bunch of Liverpool fans who don't ever have it, don't want it, don't want to hear it, and they vent their emotion when they do hear it. Is it time to drop the national anthem for Wembley showpieces? Is that a fair question? Should it be saved for international matches?
I don't think necessarily that should be the case. I don't see why. This is an English competition. Why shouldn't you play the national anthem? The only thing about it is if you know that there's going to be a section that are going to boo it throughout its playing, then that might become a bit of a problem. But I don't see any reason why the national anthem shouldn't be played before the game.
I was sitting down, Martin, and I heard 1 or 2 people around me were saying, wow, they let rip again at the national anthem. And I wasn't aware of it. Watching it, did you think, well, there's that quarter of support that do not want to hear God Save the King as it is now?
They are. I mean, I remember observing on people being uncomfortable and booing with players taking the knee and saying, well, look, people are entitled to their opinion. I don't think the booing is the right sentiment, but they're entitled to their view. And who am I? I don't respect the Liverpool fans' view on this. I don't hold the monarchy as being responsible for what happened in the 1980s under Margaret Thatcher's government. I think it's a ridiculous assertion, but it's theirs and they're entitled to it. I certainly don't think that you should be standing down the national anthem because one set of supporters don't like it. It's fine, boo then, if that makes you happier. If you have the deep-seated belief that the royal family were complicit in allowing Margaret Thatcher to spend no money in Liverpool in the 80s and whatever else, then that's your viewpoint. And if you want to boo for the 5 minutes or 2 minutes that is on, fantastic. But I don't think that a tournament and a competition and showcase environments that are broadcast around the world should be influenced by one set of people's thinking.
Is there any damage done in terms of image to the product? 100 countries worldwide tuned in yesterday.
Not really. I mean, we see people booing people's anthems all around the world. It's not just unique to our fans. It happens to be unique. You know, we've seen international matches where people are booing one another's national anthems because it's sport. And that's how they think it's. I don't mean sport in terms of what the game consists of, because that's obvious. I mean, it's sport for them. Look, the Liverpool fans have a unique perspective. It's theirs. It's their gift. I don't respect it, but they're not asking me to respect it. And I don't think that we should be climbing down and taking the national anthem off because a section or all or every single fan that supports Liverpool has that view.
There's Judge, a Liverpool fan. I'm somewhat bemused by that. Don't act shocked about the anthem. It doesn't need dropping. Just speak about why we boo it properly, not with bias.
No one's biased. We followed your words, but I've been told repeatedly my ignorance betrays me. The reasons why these people boo this anthem is because... So I'm repeating back what they've said, and I don't respect that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't brought up in the Liverpool in the 1980s. I didn't have that viewpoint. But I don't respect the notion that a constitution that's consisted of a king or a queen at that time having no power to elect who goes into office is somehow complicit in a government making decisions. It's
you would argue, Martin, because it's an English tournament, it's an English Cup tournament, it's quite right and proper that they have it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. 81089 if you want to send me a message on that. We're at 11:15.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.